Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm gonna show you my holy grails when it comes to JRPGs. Or rather, the rarest JRPG I own on every single console. This is gonna be a very interesting video because there's gonna be a lot of unexpected surprises. Are you guys ready? So let's begin! We're gonna start with the PlayStation, and no, it's not Suikoden 2, and it's also not Valkyrie Profile. It's freaking Kudelka. I never thought this obscure anomaly would get so rare and expensive. A fan gifted it to me several years ago. I hope he doesn't regret it. As some of you may already know, this is an experiment gone wrong. A survival horror fusion with a JRPG that went through development hell. It ended up being a slow burn with tank controls, boring grid-based combat, and very questionable graphics. Though its ideas were great, most of them were poorly executed. Not a bad game at all, but not great either, just wasted potential. A complete in-box copy like mine goes for about $300 to $350 nowadays. Holy crap. For the PlayStation 2, I still have my copy of Xenosaga 3. This one has always been expensive since it received a limited print run in North America. Namco lost faith in the trilogy since the second game didn't do very well and cared little for this final entry. It turned out to be the best of the three, and by far. So a complete in-box copy of this game currently sells for about $200. For some bizarre reason, the exact same version with a lenticular cover sells for twice as much or more! Yeah, a stupid lenticular cover is the only difference. Crazy. For the PS3, Lost Dimension. It's weird that this underrated strategy RPG is a bit more expensive and rare than the legendary Arland trilogy, which I also own in my collection. That one still goes for its usual $70 to $80. I don't know why Lost Dimension here sells for $80 to $85 complete in box. I know it's published by Atlus, a company that back then didn't print too many copies, but then why is it that its PS Vita counterpart sells for far less? Aren't PS Vita games more expensive and rare than PS3 games? Anyway, this is an awesome RPG no matter the version. For the PlayStation 4, I got one that I bet you didn't know. It's extremely rare. It's called Shan Yuan Sword, The Gate of Firmament. Oh yeah. This extremely obscure game belongs to a series that's been going on in China for quite some time. We've only gotten 2 or 3 games, and this one isn't even a main title, it's a spin-off! Hell, there is no official English release, just the Asian version with English subtitles. These are mediocre at best, unlike the game itself, which is pretty unique. Mixing turn-based with action? I have covered this RPG in the past, but perhaps it's time I share a brand new review of it. My PS4 version goes for almost $100 US. Yeah, that's how freaking rare it is. Wait, what's that? This doesn't count because it's Chinese, it's not a JRPG, and there's no official English release? Well, okay, in that case... Believe it or not... Well, this is a special edition, so they don't count, right? Yeah, Trails from Zero is the rarest JRPG that I own in my collection. The sequel, Trails to Azure, is even more rare and expensive. All versions are on a similar level of price and rarity. It's ridiculous. Such is the case, however, with many games printed by NIS America. For some reason they just do one print run and it sells like hotcakes, rarely doing a second print run again. I can guarantee you this game and its sequel will only keep going up in price, especially if they're sealed like my copy of Zero. According to pricecharting.com, it sells between $75 and $85 US, sealed or not. Now the PS5 is basically the same as with the PS4, there's a special edition with Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4, but the loose copy, this one sealed, is my holy grail on the PlayStation 5. I'm not sure how rare this is, all I know is that just like the Crossbell duology I just talked about, this will probably retain its price or increase over time. I think it's because most people bought the PS4 versions years ago and honestly, nobody needed these two on PS5. They merely have a small upscaling that's barely noticeable and little to no differences exist with their PS4 versions. This release is simply there. I mean, in case you wanted to have them together and physical on PS5 that is. If you want it, you can find it for 50 or 60 bucks, but sealed it shouldn't be more than 70. For the PSP, we've got Ragnarok Tactics. This fantastic strategy RPG has been a bit rare and expensive for a while. Over the past few years, it has joined the rarest PSP JRPGs club, nowadays selling for a whopping $80 complete in box. It's based on the popular MMORPG Ragnarok Online, acting as a spin-off. 3 different routes and endings, beautiful art style, simple yet engaging turn-based tactics. It's a great JRPG for beginners with great story and tons of characters. Give this one a chance if you can, or if you have $80 to spare. For the PS Vita, Muramasa the Demon Blade. This one is sealed. Yeah, I don't have anything crazy on the Vita, but believe it or not, Muramasa here has been a bit pricey for a while. It's actually a remaster of the Wii original, now called Muramasa Rebirth. It looks absolutely stunning on the Vita, or a decent PC if you're emulating. Definitely the best version of the game to play. Complete in box sells for about $60, but sealed, like my copy, can go up to $80 or more. Hopefully these and other Vanillaware games will come to Steam one day. Alright, moving on to Nintendo! Now, anything for the NES? Well, no, not really, no, let's move on. For the Super Nintendo, I have Chrono Trigger complete in box, oh yeah!
Hold on, this is not yours, my friend.
Okay, it's Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG does sell for a big chunk of money complete in box. I imagine most of you have it loose, just like I do. Mint condition copies can be found easily anywhere, but they go for about $50 to $60. So for an old Super Nintendo cart that got printed like crazy, it's a bit pricey. Maybe it's because the game is awesome and highly regarded, considered as one of the best JRPGs on the system. I agree, it's my personal favorite and I often recommend it, but it shouldn't cost this much money, especially if it's a loose copy of it. For the GameCube, Path of Radiance. No, this one hasn't gone down in price. In fact, once released for the GameCube emulator on Switch 2, I doubt it'll drop. Quite the contrary, it will probably spike soon after. It's the masterpiece I've been praising my whole RPG life and my favorite in the series. Exclusive to the GameCube, still selling complete in box for around $200 or more. You know what, it's about time I made a full review of this legendary game, don't you think? And of course, on the Wii, the other Fire Emblem, Radiant Dawn. Remember when Dokapon Kingdom used to be the holy grail of JRPGs on the Wii? Well, not anymore. Since its remaster a couple of years ago, it went down in price considerably, and so Radiant Dawn here took the throne. That's right, as of the making of this video, this is officially the rarest JRPG on the Wii with a North American release. Still selling for about $100 complete in box, which has been its price for several years. It's a fantastic follow-up to Path of Radiance, just remember to play it on easy, which is the real normal mode. For the Nintendo Switch, I have Astral Chain. And I know it's not really a holy grail, not a big deal, but you know what? He doesn't have it! Ha 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 ha! There are barely any super rare and expensive JRPGs on the Switch. Other than some of the Atelier or Trails games, Astral Chain was released almost 6 years ago, but it probably still retains its $40 to $50 price because of its exclusivity on the system. The same can be said about pretty much any Xenoblade game out there. In fact, I was gonna choose Torna the Golden Country, but it sells for about the same amount. I picked Astral Chain though, just because I wanted to rub it in Oscar's face, since he doesn't have it and has been looking for it since forever. Yeah. Look, it's the old house where I used to shoot my videos from like 7, 8 years ago. Wow, it's been a while. Nothing's changed. Anyway, it's a very nostalgic place for me, and it has a lot to do with the first RPG I ever played in my life. It's nothing rare, but this is where my RPG journey began, and it's Final Fantasy Legend 2. Yeah, this is where my JRPG journey began, with a dreaded Saga game. I still love it, and I'm very nostalgic for it, but you know how I feel about the Saga series. I'm just not a real fan. You don't need to play the other 2 games on the Game Boy, but all 3 have been re-released on Switch, Steam, and phones recently. Loose copies of all 3 can be found for about $30, but the second one can increase a bit to $35 if it's in mint condition. So yeah, nothing rare and expensive here, but I wanted to include it because of its personal importance to me. For the Game Boy Advance, I got the best game in the system, complete in box, Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade. Oh yeah! Well, this I do have complete in box, so we are talking about Holy Grail numbers. It's not exactly rare, but it's very expensive, only behind a few other rare titles on the system. It currently sells for a whopping $175 depending on its condition. Loose is far cheaper though, I think I've seen them for $50 or $60, but if you want the best GBA JRPG ever, in its full physical glory, it'll punch your wallet badly nowadays. For the Nintendo DS, you're not gonna believe it. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey. It's hard to believe this version has gone up in price lately, considering most people will prefer to own its 3DS enhanced port. But then again, maybe Atlus, as mostly always back then, didn't print a lot of copies of this, which may justify its rarity. This exhausting and hardcore dungeon crawler in first person, with a very mature and no-nonsense story, sells for about $70 complete in box. Not Sola to Robo numbers yet, and I honestly doubt it'll ever get there, but yeah, it's a bit expensive nowadays. For the 3DS, I have Radiant Historia, Perfect Chronology. This one is sealed. This is still one of the most expensive and sought after 3DS JRPGs ever. Holy Grail levels, specially sealed since it can reach $100 no problem. Used, it can be found between $75 and $85 if you're lucky. PAL versions are twice those prices, so forget about them. Sadly, the 3DS isn't region free, so you're gonna have to rely on a North American 3DS or a loose copy of it, which is still super expensive as well, or just go straight to emulation if you can. You already know this is an absolute must play. Xbox 360, Operation Darkness. Meet the Holy Grail JRPG of the overlooked Xbox 360. In fact, not a single other title comes even close in terms of price and rarity. This is a strategy RPG which is freaking brutal, with super long maps with characters and tanks fighting each other with firearms. It also mixes dark fantasy elements with vampires and werewolves and shit. It's a crazy game, but it's good. Copies are sold nowadays between $85 and $90 complete in box. Absolutely ridiculous. This is an exclusive to the system and, you guessed it, also published by Atlus, so that's why. I don't have anything else for Xbox console, so let's move on to Sega. And for the Master System I have nothing, so let's move on to Genesis. For the Sega Genesis, I got Phantasy Star 4, the best video game on the system actually. Again, I only have the loose cartridge of this. I got it like 10 years ago, before its price became absurd. Loose, however, like my copy, sells between $70 and $75 depending on its condition. If you're gonna own at least one Sega Genesis RPG, it has to be either this or Shining Force, right? This is a masterpiece, the best in the series, but luckily, it's been re-released in several Sega collections for many different consoles throughout the years. But if you want a physical copy of it, yeah, it's a bit pricey nowadays. Sega CD? Pop Full Mail. A true holy grail in the system. Yeah, this is a picture I took in a store when I was still living in Canada. I don't really own this game. And that's basically it for Sega. Alright guys, that's it. Those were the rarest JRPGs in my collection. A bunch of them were holy grails, others almost holy grails, and the others were like, well, that's what I got. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. And if you have any holy grails of your own, leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching and see you next time! Nintendo 64? Have you ever heard of Hybrid Heaven? Yeah, the cover is fake. Sorry. But the cartridge is still original.